Jesus Conde, Digital Painting Tutorials.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Jesus Conde and today we're going to be painting a leaf. So let's get started. First, what we need is to find references. This is a bunch of pictures that I got from the internet. Just pick the ones you like the most or are close to what you want to achieve and make your reference panel. Let's call it that way. So remember, I'm back to old format. So first, we're going to make a little sketches to develop the idea a little bit. Nothing fancy, just few rough lines about what we want. Doesn't have to be super detailed because it's just a starting phase. And so these are the sketches that I'm doing for it. Really simple stuff. I didn't want any weird kind of leaf, just normal. But as you are doing these sketches, you kind of think of shapes and stuff that you could do, and all that. Even that you don't use it at the end, all that is helps you out to develop this idea. So this is the sketch I like the most. I just copy that and make a bigger sketch. Even though the shape of that brush is weird, is nothing fancy at all. For those people that are always asking what brush are you using, it really doesn't matter what brush are you using, unless it's a really crazy brush shape or you have some weird properties. But when I use that kind of brush, I will tell you this brush is just normal one. Starts thin when you don't use too much pressure, and then goes thick, depending on the pressure you use on your tablet. So this is a pretty simple liner. It's nothing fancy about shapes, just few lines to develop your ideas and to think where this leaf bends and stuff like that. This video is 200% speed. That means it's just double the speed, because I didn't want to make it too fast for you, so you guys can actually see what I'm doing instead of just trying to guess everything. It's a bit long, but I think it's okay. There's a lot of tips you guys can pick up from this video, I believe. So just cleaning a little bit in there to make the liner clean as possible. The best liner you have, you're gonna be able to achieve a better result at the end. Okay, so I just copy this. And we're going to start applying our colors, but I wanted to work with a palette of colors so you guys know exactly what colors are we using and why, stuff like that. I only use one color from Photoshop directly in this tutorial, but here at the beginning I'm going to be using a palette of colors. Sorry about this. I'm looking for the image of the references to put it at one side, so sorry for that. It's good to have it there at one side. If you have two screens, you can use two screens. And the timer is because I tend to in this workflow that I'm doing, so you guys can see the changes between every time I do I'm going to be making a copy and working on that copy every 10 minutes, so you guys can see the progress and have a better idea of the progress and the changes we are making. So right there I have my basic palette of colors, and I'm going to create a green color, and I'm using blue and yellow, and it's gonna be you can use a normal brush. Here I'm using I'm making these lines right here so you can see the brush that I'm using. I'm using a normal brush with opacity with pen pressure opacity, and just mixing up the colors. Just take the color, the one you're going to use at first, could be yellow or blue, and then with the pen pressure, or using 50% pressure with the numbers, you can achieve this half tone. Then what you're gonna do is grab that color and then paint again at 100%, and you got your color mixed. So that's the way you can do this color mixing. There I put a little bit of yellow, and like at 50% or something. And here I'm saying that my light is coming from the left, so I need those parts to be lit. So I take this new color and just put it there. Now I'm going to need a small brush and a bit of opacity. Right there I'm using 100% and trying to control with the pen pressure. And I'm going to explain you here with a white brush the shape of this leaf. It has little bumps. They have these little bumps, and you have to think of the lighting while having these little bumps. You should have these spots of light. Sorry for that. You should have these spots of light pointing that way, because the light is coming from there. So you need that. Now I'm going to need I think I'm going to need a brighter color. But right there, yeah, just taking the color that we have with the eyedropper and just keep painting. I did that to make an example of the smudge tool. I'm using the smudge tool, I think at 70 or 80%, and I just wanted to make sure you guys see the result with that pressure. So the left part is going to be lit, and the part of the right part is going to be lit, and the part of the left not too much, because there's not too much lighting hitting that part. I use a little bit of yellow to have a brighter color, kind of the same that I already had, to paint the center of this leaf. And now I'm dimming down a little bit the line art, so you guys can see better the colors. Okay, so this is what we got. I need a darker color to make a little bit of. There are not like shadows, but if you look at the reference, there is a bit of the dark tone between those lines, and it is important that you try to replicate that, because even that is not too much detail that you are applying, it helps you if you look at the image farther, from farther, it looks more complicated, and that's what we want. We want it to look more complicated than it actually looks. Okay, so I'm trying to hold back the progress because I want you guys to see a really big difference between this part and the next one, and all the progress. So now I copy this and think of how can I make this image better. What do I need to? What's the next step? And so we need some specular or bright point on the material. The leaf is kind of reflective, and it is a little bit let's say have some properties kind of like plastic. So in this I'm going to use the brighter color that I have on the leaf, and put a little bit of yellow and then a little bit of white. And you have to mix that with the pen pressure. I cannot tell you by numbers because it's not exact. It's most about try and failure. So what I can tell you is that this part I'm doing it at 30% of opacity with the brush. That's what I put that number there to remember. So what you need to do now is doing these little bright spots, kind of with the shape of the leaf, and make like these little bumps that are on top of the big bumps that we already have with the base colors. These little bumps are going to help you kind of make people think that this leaf is not flat. It has these little using the same word again, these little bumps, and it's really important that you achieve that. I made the color a little bit brighter, and now I'm going to use it at 20% opacity. Why the opacity? Because my type of blending is by repetition. You just do a lot of strokes, lots of strokes, and you kind of achieve the result by just moving your hand really quick, one stroke on top of the other, for the amount of opacity that you want to achieve. If I make just one stroke, you can assume that it's going to look 20% opacity. If you do it 2 times, it's going to be 40%. It's just mathematics. So that's my way of blending, just repetition. Repeat your strokes one on top of the other to get your results. And here you are trying to think, okay, the light is coming from that side, and depending on the curve of the surface, you should have these little bright spots looking there. You're gonna put a bright spot looking too much down because it's going to look like the shape bends in there. So if I put these bright spots like in the dark part, I want you to think that the shape bends a little in there and receives a little bit of light in that part. So sorry if I'm talking too fast, just trying to give you the best information and quick as possible. So right now it's looking kind of flat in terms of color variations. So I made a even brighter color at 10% because I want to be more subtle with the result. And only in the center of the leaf where I made that circle, there's going to be a even brighter spot, because in that center of all the brighter spots, in the center of all the brighter spots, there's going to be even more brighter. That's where it receives even more light than the other parts. And that's something that you should keep in mind for all your paintings. When you have a bright spot, in the center of that bright spot you should have even more brighter, and it gives a cool effect. Actually, that even more brighter spot, let's call it that way, the even more brighter spot should be kind of in the same direction on every shape that you have. You cannot have multiple. It's going to look weird. Okay, so this is going. There is when I'm thinking this is starting to look good. I was kind of afraid that I wasn't going to get the result for you guys, but I was getting excited here because I thought, okay, it's looking cool. Now a bit more relaxed. Now I just have to copy that and do the other part. So think, how can I make this image even better? And that's using a bounce light or a fill light. Let's call it fill light, because bounce light is when the light touches another surface and then bounce and there's color bleeding and all the stuff. You guys can watch the lighting fundamentals video on my channel. Okay, so here what I'm trying to do is just take the darker color and put a little bit of blue, a little bit of blue and a little bit of white, and I got this kind of greenish blue color. And I'm going to paint it like it's coming from this side and at 10%. And remember, this is a normal brush. It just has pen pressure. You can call it transfer in the new Photoshop. You just have transfer, pen pressure. If it's all Photoshop, is other dynamics in the brush properties. You can look for those properties in F5. And it's kind of the same that we did with the bright spots, but this time it's going to be with other color and coming from below. There I did that example to explain to you how I blend the colors. It's just repetition, one stroke on top of the other. And well, it's mostly, you can achieve good results with this technique just with time. It just takes time to render things, and your hand hurt. Your hand is going to hurt the first times you do it, because maybe you're not used to these fast movements. But it really, for me, is a cool way to work. You can watch your results kind of in real time while you're doing it. So I think that for that is really cool way of blending the colors. Oh, so looking there, I'm using the color from the bottom, because it's a fill light. Is against the key light that is coming from the top left. I'm using a blue light from the bottom right, and I got this other color. Even at the right part is lit by this key light. I'm putting the blue color in there, so you can see the cool result. Here I'm doing it again. You can see the cool result we achieved with that. Is having lighting from both sides. Okay, so here already looks good, but it's not finished for me. I think it will have a lot of more work. For some people, this will be a good result because of the scene they're working on. Oh, and look, and right here I think I wanted a more bluish color, like the same thing that I did with the bright spots. We need a even more brighter spots, even more brighter fill light. Sorry. And with that really blue color, we achieved that. We have this color in the center of the dark part that is bluer than everything else, and give this kind of a, here is reflecting more light than other part. Looks cool. Okay, need a little bit of rest. So now I copy this and think, okay, how can I make this even better? And notice that the time has not ended yet, and I'm trying to test something out with green. And I'm going to try to achieve the green color I want, but it's gonna be impossible because I'm mixing and I just cannot get it. I need a really bright green, so I just took it from the color palette, the color picker. And for the test, what I'm just going to do, I get rid of the one I try to blend. Okay, for the test, what I'm going to do is create another layer and do a really quick test of what I want, which is a really green color on the edges, on the border of this leaf. That's going to kind of simulate the subsurface scattering. You guys should investigate and do some research about what subsurface scattering is. And okay, that's when I take the decision that how it kind of could look, and I just go to do that. So a quick tip: the subsurface scattering is when you have lighting from the back, and you have lighting from the back, and the surface is kind of translucent, so you kind of see the light coming from the back. And if the object is green, it's going to be even more greener. It also happens where it receives more light. So in the part that has the bright spots, we're going to use a little bit of more of that green. But for now, we're just going to work on the edges. Right now we're just working on the edges, so it's going to be really simple. Just trying to paint the same color using 10% on the edges. And I did those lines there so you guys can see that it's just a normal brush. It's nothing weird going on with the brush. Just a normal brush, and I'm using CS3. So if you have newer Photoshop, you guys can totally do the same. Okay, here I'm trying to do that really green color because this part is supposed to be have less density, so it's translucent. The light goes through, and right there in the shadow part, it should look a little bit more intense because it's shadow, but it's still translucent. So you guys should actually see that translucent more in the shadow than in the part that is lit, unless this is receiving direct lighting. And we're going to do that in a few seconds. where it receives more lighting, it should have this green color too. That happens in the skin too. In the skin, kind of the same properties. Where it receives light, you can have this kind of really bright color. Okay, and notice that that part I did a little bit more intensity. Here I'm doing the same. I'm putting some of the green in where the light hits the most, in the center. So that's what I'm doing there. I hope you guys are understanding all that I'm saying, because I'm trying to speak really fast, and I don't know if you guys understand when I talk too fast. So right there, notice that I put a little bit more of intensity, and I thought it looked good, so I just left it there like that. Okay, I'm going to make a little advertising. Please make a small donation to support this channel if you can. Please do that. And subscribe. You can subscribe. You can add me on Twitter. You have my address in the top left corner. And just share this video with your friends if you like it, or people that you know that want to learn too. It really helps me. And don't forget to comment or say anything. You can write me. You can even write me emails if you want to. No problem at all. Just I'll take some time to answer, because there is a lot of people sending emails already, but I try to do it on the weekends. Anyway, now I'm going to go to the final stage of this image. So we just copy that and think, how can I make this image even better? And just making a little bit more of detail. So I was thinking, what's missing here? I need those little lines, those little green lines that are on the references that I don't have in my leaf. So I just take the brightest color that I had in there and just make some lines. It's a normal brush, again, nothing fancy, just really small. I'm doing it really small to have these little really defined lines. But again, it's nothing crazy with the brush, it's just normal, so please don't ask what kind of brush I'm using. If you want them, you can download them. You can download them, the link in the description. But really, it's nothing really fancy. I have like 2 brushes that are kind of different because I made it myself. But the rest are just normal brushes. So I was telling you, please make a small donation. The link is in the description. It's going to be through PayPal. You can make something small. It doesn't have to be a huge amount of money. Something small is just fair. It's just enough. And please, sorry for the. I'm still working on my English, so don't don't get mad about my pronunciation or stuff like that. Okay, right there I'm just making more little lines to have like more detail. And well, this tutorial is about to end in about a few minutes. So right now it's just making these little lines to have more detail. I also make few like dark spots because I saw another leaf where it had these dark spots, and I really like how it looked, so I need that. Then I made with the Dutch tool, which is with the letter O, and you need to be careful because it's the letter O, but up there in the menu bar you should check that it says highlights. You can achieve these little bright spots even more brighter than you already have. And right there I'm just using the normal brush, but the one on the down there I use the Dutch tool. Right here I'm just using the normal brush with the B on the keyboard. Nothing weird. Okay, this is the leaf that I was telling you about. You have these dark spots, and accidentally I went back to an older version of the leaf. But thank God for the layers, and that I always create new layers all the time. I could save the messed up that I had, and it was actually really funny because I was working on it and I was like, wait a second, I did few lines. Where are those lines? And that's where I realized, oh my, I did it. But thank God I did it in another layer. I could save this progress. So I was like laughing hard here in my office, just doing that mistake. That's what I realized. Oh my! So I just put it there. You guys didn't notice that, right? No, nobody saw that. Not really. So I just laughed a lot. So I have these little dark spots that give more detail to it, and I thought of adding some variation of color, but I wasn't sure how it was going to look, so I just put another layer with this kind of orange brown color, a new layer to paint on top, and then with changing the opacity on the layer, I could see in real time the result. Just changing the opacity with the numbers, and I'm using it at 100% because I'm trying to work the opacity with the layer and not with the brush. So that's what I'm using 100%, because then later I'm going to change the opacity with the layer, not with the brush, like that. See? Okay, so I think this is it, guys. I really hope you like this tutorial. Please don't forget to make the small donation if you are able to. Only if you are able to. Share this video. Go to my Facebook page and like my page to be aware of everything that I upload. Thank you very much, guys. You guys are the best.